Brother, 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 brother.
There we go.
Brother.
It is Thursday, August 18th, and it is another episode of the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. It is the Impact Power Hour. I'm Ryan.
I'm in.
And yeah, we're just going to get right on into this. Not too much news, other than apparently Taylor Wilde is still signed by Impact, according to a podcast she just did. Yeah, she is ready to rumble. She's ready to fight all the new knockouts.
Yeah. She understands. It seems like from the quote. We didn't listen to her podcast. I know we're fake fans.
Fake.
But from the quote, it seems like she understands that Impact kind of has a lot of new knockouts coming in right now, so she might not have a place necessarily like for the current moment, like next week or so. But she's ready. It sounds like.
Yeah,
ready for the call.
I guess this again goes with that Impact is willing to keep people signed without doing anything with them. Since we know that Killer Kelly was signed for a year and a half before she made her debut. This one's a little bit more random, I think.
Yeah, because she's like an Impact veteran that you would like kind of just presumed was like maybe in the type of like last year or Jazz.
Yeah, so, I figured it was like a short thing.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, there's going to be a whole nother chance for Taylor Wilde to get wild.
Yeah, she is. To be fair, when she returned last year or whenever it was, it's felt like years ago at this point, just because she hasn't been on for so long. But she held her own. She was pretty good. So it'll be interesting to see when she shows back up and what they have her do. Like it seemed like she was going to have a possible title chance, and then she got caught up at the border and then was abducted, and then we never heard from her again.
So that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Other than that, we
former Impact's world champion returns to television yesterday.
Yeah,
Kenny Omega.
Yes, he did.
So that's kind of Impact news, but not too much. Don Callis was there.
Yeah, Don Callis as a babyface, which was bizarre.
Yeah.
Don Callis, who I'm pretty sure has been a heel his entire life.
Right.
Returning as babyface.
Yeah, that'll be the first and last pop he gets. I guarantee that.
Yeah. That was odd, but yeah, it works, I guess. I mean, you're not gonna. Kenny could have been a heel yesterday, and he still would have gotten the biggest babyface reactions possible. Yeah. Other than that, make sure to follow the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast on Twitter at Deep Six Wrestling. Follow us or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Deep Six Wrestling. You can get some news videos that Pat dropped earlier about the CM Punk stuff. You've got all our podcasts that go up there as well, including Rob's SmackDown reviews, which go out either Friday night, Saturday morning, depending on when he's able to do them. The NXT UK reviews, which are going to be winding down since we found out NXT UK is no more at the after September 4th. So yeah, and I did that earlier today. I don't know when it's going to go up, but I did record it. Talked about all 24 releases that we know about so far, which I'm expecting more. Don't know if any of them go anywhere, but hey, hopefully some of them do. And if Impact could get any of them, I want Mark Andrews, because Mark Andrews is fun, and he's been in Impact before. And yeah, so, and of course, always subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcast platforms. We're on basically all of them. So yeah, let us get into our Impact review. Starting off as always, BTI. I watched it, only the stuff that matters. We had Iceman Intel again, Iceman in an airport. Apparently, Deonna Purrazzo is gearing up for another challenge for the Knockouts title because she wants to become the champ again.
Yeah. This time, one being a tag champ that she just won the titles
Yes.
with Chelsea Green, and now going for Jordan Grace, apparently.
Yeah. The BTI match was Giselle Shaw versus Rosemary. Nothing too much to say about this. It was a fine match. Giselle ends up winning. Again, seemingly that there's some miscommunication with Jessica and Rosemary again. And yeah, this would take us to our main show. We get our video package running down what happened at Emergence last week. Emergence, really good show. Again, make sure that when you guys, if you didn't watch it or want to catch up on it, feel free to listen to our review. Pat just texted and said, make sure to talk about Deanna's contract. Fightful reported yesterday that Deanna is in negotiations with a contract with Impact Wrestling since her contract ends at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting scenario because she definitely got signed to Impact, kind of, not with the greatest reputation coming out of WWE. NXT really didn't use her at all.
Yeah.
So she wasn't like a hot commodity coming in. But now the tides have turned. She is potentially able to cash in big time, as much as Impact would allow her to cash in, I guess. But, usually how contracts work in the world of sports and pretty much anything is, you're going to get paid as much as the competitor wants you. So if someone else is knocking on Deanna's door, Impact's going to have to pay a pretty penny to keep her around.
I know at the begin when she won the Ring of Honor women's championship, she did some interviews talking about her relationship with Tony Khan and said that she has nothing but respect for him. She's had a good relationship with him from any time that they've talked. And originally, it was reported that she went to Impact because she wanted to leverage a move to AEW. But she wanted to regain her momentum that she had before she went to WWE. And then she ended up she originally signed just a short-term deal to finish off that year, so 2020 with Impact. And then she signed a long-term deal, which I guess ends at the end of this year. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the AEW or Tony Khan does want to make a move for her, if they do actually have that good relationship. And they need more bodies.
Someone at AEW must watch the product because they scooped up Madison Rayne, which I was like, we
that was why, yeah. Which apparently, like, Madison Rayne had been rumored, like, after the Mae Young Classic that that NXT wanted her, but only as a trainer. And then she just was like, no, stayed with Impact, but like as a commentator / part-time wrestler, and then went more full-time during the pandemic. But we thought,
she's an interesting one. She's hard to gauge.
Yeah, it definitely. I think it's interesting. That, as you said, definitely Impact or somebody over in AEW does pay attention to Impact. I think that is known since like they wanted to work with Impact originally, with the original breaking down of the Forbidden Door when Omega joined in. I think considering Don Callis is somebody who is part of their creative sphere. And part of like the production, I'd assume part of it has to be Don. It didn't seem like he left on bad terms. He just left Impact to go to AEW for a very similar role, from what I understood when he left Impact. So I feel like that could be part of it. I mean, Impact does or AEW does have a lot of former or Impact people. Like, you've got Sanjay Dutt, you've got Samoa Joe, you've got Jay Lethal, you've got Daniels, Kaz.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and the fact that some of them do pop in every so often, like we just saw Kaz do a mini run in Impact. I definitely think that has part of it. And also, I think part of the New Japan relationship, New Japan has a really good relationship with Impact. And it seems like AEW and New Japan are trying to build some sort of relationship long term. And I think that, if all three companies can work together, it makes the most sense to do that. But I do think in order to do that, you do have to keep eyes on the products of everybody. And if you know that a contract of somebody who you think is available and could do wonders for your product, you're going to make that offer if you can, even if, it does damage a little or take away a piece from another company that you're working with. But yeah, that's enough about that situation. Let's get into the main show.
Wrestling.
Yeah. So main show starts off with probably the smart match to start off with. It is our fatal 4-way match. It is Black Taurus versus Laredo Kid versus Horus versus Trey Miguel. We've got Crazy Steve on commentary, which commentary notes is the first time Crazy Steve has ever been on commentary in his Impact career. Crazy Steve, when he gets onto commentary, immediately sounds out of breath. I don't know if they taped like a BTI match right before this that he's going to be on or what, but this man was like gasping for air when he gets on commentary for a little bit. And he doesn't add too much to anything other than that Black Taurus is basically trying to show the world what he can do. And he's going to take it out on everybody that he's been overlooked for a while.
Today it stuck out to me because Crazy Steve, like the camera is like right in front of his face when they showed him on commentary.
Yeah.
His face paint goes to his beard.
Yes. Yep.
I thought that was hilarious. And like he's been going out like that. It just like really stuck out to me, like because he was right, on our cameras.
Yeah. I hope he does it himself.
Yeah.
Legally blind Crazy Steve.
I mean, he might.
Just
paints his beard.
And his eyes. Like his eyelids are painted as well. Like Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, I mean, maybe that's what made him legally blind is he accidentally got paint in his eyes.
Yeah, and just consistently is doing it for years.
It just wears down on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was interesting. This was basically your hot match to start the show off. As we always say, X Division matches are normally up there. This not listed as an X Division match, but let's be honest, it was. And I think that, hey, we said it last week, I believe. We talked about how somebody commented and said Black Taurus needs to be used better. This was using Black Taurus to the best of his abilities.
Yeah, there was your answer. Black Taurus gets a big win here against Trey Miguel, involved in the match. I mean, it was pretty impressive. It was a really good, fun match the whole way through. Some of the spots were pretty similar to the Ric Flair match, the Fatal 4-Way.
Yeah.
Taurus and Laredo Kid were both in that, I believe.
Yes.
So, but for the most part, I mean, it's still exciting to see them go at it. Those are some of the best athletes Impact has, and yeah.
Yeah, I wrote down a few of the big spots from this match. We had Trey Miguel doing a diving Hurricane Rana to the outside. We had Horus hit a wild tornado DDT on Black Taurus. We also had early on in the match, Black Taurus hit a pop-up Samoan drop on Laredo Kid, where he just tossed Laredo Kid as high as he could into the air.
Yeah, that was
before bringing him down. And then we have apparently Black Taurus has a new finisher. It is called Destination Hellhole, as Crazy Steve christened it on commentary. He had been using in previous matches. He'd just been using like a black hole slam. This definitely not that. Definitely something a little bit different. And it looked really cool. He pins Laredo Kid. Crowd was just extremely into this match. So that's always a plus when the crowd gets into it. And yeah, Black Taurus picks up a big win over 3 other people who Ray Horus is a big name in, I believe he was in Ring of Honor for a little bit. Trey Miguel, as you mentioned, former X Division champ, and Laredo Kid seems to be always around the X Division like #1 contenders realm.
Yeah, basically. He doesn't really win much in Impact, but he's a respected wrestler.
Yes.
Trey Miguel was like the surprise because he was like he's a very protected individual in Impact these days.
Yeah. After this, we get highlights from Killer Kelly's match last week, and then the reveal that these are being watched backstage by just a bunch of random people, and then Zicky Dice and Johnny Swinger. And Zicky Dice says that he hopes that Killer Kelly can kill him anytime she wants. To which Swinger says, "I'm right there with you, Daddy." And then Zicky asks Swinger when she can come down to the dungeon. Tasha Steelz interrupts this with Savannah Evans, saying that this is nothing special. Have you ever seen a Tasha Steelz match? To which Zicky Dice says, "No, but I've heard good things about them." Killer Kelly shows up and confronts Tasha. Tasha says that she hasn't done anything that impressive, but does say that she was there to hype up her match and make everybody watch her match, even though everybody immediately kind of is like, nope, that's not what she did. Killer Kelly says that she's still got her eyes on Tasha. Savannah gets in the way, and Killer Kelly challenges Savannah to a match later on tonight.
Yes, sir.
And she hopes that Tasha will be watching her. To which Tasha says, "Okay, Jigsaw." Good stuff. Backstage, still we've got Rich Swann and Josh talking backstage. Josh says that he's not going to play favorites about who he wants to face at Bound for Glory, but he'd be lying if he wasn't excited for the possibility of him versus Rich Swann. But he knows that he's got a target on his back and he wants the best match possible. And as long as he's the champ, it's going to be very difficult for anybody to take this title away from him. Vincent shows up randomly and talks about how the winds are changing. Honor No More is has all the momentum now. They've got a tag title shot. Eddie's might win the #1 contendership tonight, and that Josh might need a friend. So I don't know what this was about. I don't know who, is Vincent offering himself to be the friend? This was weird. Josh and Rich both looked confused, and Rich just says, what was he talking about? And Josh says, I have no idea. After this, Kenny King versus Heath.
It was a quickie.
Yeah, it was. Heath wins. Kind of surprised about that in how quick it was. And then Honor No More shows up. They all start beating down Heath.
Well, they're really selling like Heath's finisher here. The last call, you get hit by it, your lights are out. So that's basically all of Honor No More is afraid of this finisher.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird person to be like having this super protected finisher of.
Yeah, Heath Slater.
Yep,
or Heath,
Yeah. Honor No More starts beating him down. Mike Bennett looks like he's gonna go and hit some move on him, but as he's running to attack Heath, Eddie gets in the way and says he wants PCO to finish him off. And PCO just has like a freak out in the middle of the ring. He just starts shaking, which is absolutely bizarre. And then Heath just gets up, hits the wake up call on Mike Bennett, and then runs into the crowd. He celebrates with the crowd. Matt Taven just is looking like over the barricade to try to find Heath, but like doesn't chase after him. Same with Kenny King. Yeah. Weird segment.
It was. The guy to escape a 6-on-1 like that in PCO, they just kind of like convulse in the ring.
Yeah. After this, we get a backstage segment with Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, and Kushida. They talk about how Emergence was not the best night for all of them since they all lost their matches. But that the reason that they Sabin and Kushida lost was because Violent by Design had man advantage and used it to their advantage. Shelley points out that they won't have that the next time because it'll be 3-on-3. He says that Kushida deserves better. He did not come to Impact to be facing Violent by Design every single week. He wanted to come to Impact to show why he is the best free agent in the world. And that after next week, he'll finally be able to do that. Weird thing to be like, oh, he's a free agent after like a month and a half ago at this point, I believe. He signed with New Japan.
Yeah, he's not really a free agent. He's a loan.
Yeah. So I thought that was weird. It's not like this was taped before that happened.
Right.
Like he comes, his Titantron literally says, I'm the final piece of the New Japan Junior Division. Yeah, it's weird. He's using his New Japan theme. He's clearly not a free agent. But the main thing about this is that he says Alex Shelley says that when he was with the Time Splitters, when it was just him and Kushida, he always talked about how there are two people, two bodies, one mind. When he was talking, or when he's been teaming with Sabin, it's always been they've been two bodies but one mind, and now it's three bodies, one mind, and they are both better than just general wrestlers. Kushida is better than a DeLorean. Sabin is better than a machine gun, and together they are a time machine. And that is their new tag or faction name. They are no longer the Motor City Time Splitters. They are Time Machine, which is a cool, easy, simple name.
Yeah, it is. Works well.
After this, we've got Honor No More backstage segment. Everybody is questioning what just happened. Mike and
the focus really is PCO here, at least.
Yeah, PCO is all the way at the. So they're doing this on a staircase, and Eddie like keeps on like. He looks at PCO at one point, and then I guess he realizes he can't do anything with PCO because there's so many bodies in between them. Yeah, and it's such a narrow staircase. So he just doesn't look in that direction for the rest of this promo. But the main thing is that Mike is annoyed that he got beat up by Heath, and he wants to know when they're getting their title shot because they don't know what's going on with Gallows, and they think that might be some shenanigans going on. So Mike, Taven, and Maria go to find Scott. They find Scott, and Scott basically says that the doctor, Dr. Ross, has told the Impact that Doc Gallows will be out for a few weeks due to some injuries. To which Taven says that that's definitely not that's too coincidental. They think that this is some conspiracy, and they demand a handicap match against Carl Anderson next week. Scott says, well, that's not going to happen. Because Honor No More always has the numbers advantage over anybody that they face. And so next week, it'll just be Mike Bennett versus Carl Anderson. And if Carl Anderson wins, Maria will be banned from ring whenever the tag match actually happens.
That's right. And they were not happy about that, but that's a good stipulation to maybe get them a clean match.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't ban the rest of Honor No More from being there.
No, it doesn't. So realistically,
Yeah.
tomfoolery.
Yeah. Also, going back to the ending of this segment, when OGK leave, Eddie goes up to the rest of the group and says they need to figure out what's going on and have no more issues if they are to succeed.
That's theirs. You don't hear more.
Yeah. Savannah Evans versus Killer Kelly. This was an interesting matchup just because of the way it worked out. Savannah looked like she was getting the momentum early on, which I thought was interesting considering I assumed that Killer Kelly would be going through the paces of just having a lot of quick squash matches similar to Masha Slamovich.
I think Savannah has like the respect of like right now, one of the strongest female wrestlers. So I think they gave her that due in this match. It wasn't very long again either, but like it kind of gave Savannah that like, oh, you're not just gonna run through her.
Yeah. The whole time they keep on panning to Tasha, who's at ringside. And Killer Kelly keeps on like grinning and smiling as she's getting beaten up originally, and being Savannah goes for like a chokehold pretty early on, which makes Killer Kelly smile, and this freaks Savannah out. Eventually, Killer Kelly takes control, puts her in the killer clutch, and makes Savannah tap. It looked like one of her braids or beads broke, and Killer Kelly grabbed it at the end of the match and started like smiling over it and like holding it up to in between her face and Tasha, as Tasha is trying to look after Savannah. So yeah, it definitely does seem like Tasha and Killer Kelly will be going at it sooner rather than later.
For sure.
After this, we get a backstage segment with Rosemary, Taya, and Jessica. They are upset Rosemary is upset that everything did not work out last week at Emergence because everything should have worked out. There's 3 of them. They had the numbers advantage over Chelsea and Deanna, and now they have nothing. They talk about how they need to work on communication, and Jessica says, "Oh, that's okay, because I'm ready to get into this. The time is right for me because I went to Impact Management, and my in-ring debut is next week." To which Taya gets real excited about, but Rosemary is very upset about this because she says that Jessica is not ready. But she says that in order to get her ready for it next week, she is going to take the lead on the situation while Taya goes shopping. Yes.
It's like, sure, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see the debut of Jessica.
Yeah.
That is enticing. You think she just gets Masha Slamovich? Quote unquote debut match. Maybe they'll do that, and then like that'll like reawaken Havoc.
Maybe.
Kind of like the going like back and forth with the bell ringing for Festus.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the idea. That like she just needs to be knocked on her head one more time by Masha, and then Havoc's back to normal.
We can only hope.
We can only hope.
No, we'll be against Taylor Wilde next week.
Yeah. Let's get wild.
Yeah.
And the crowd goes mild.
Yep. After this, we get Jordan Grace being interviewed backstage before Deanna and Chelsea interrupt. Jordan talks about how her match versus Mia was the toughest fight of her life, and that she's gained all the respect in the world back for Mia. Deanna and Chelsea say that
the important part, the interview was because Jordan Grace got the death wish or death warrant.
Yeah, the death warrant from Masha.
So that's looking like her next opponent, which I'm sure you guys, I guess, you talked about already. But
yeah, I'm assuming this is going to be set for Bound for Glory. I think you can play it off for a month, especially since they've already announced what Masha's next match seems to be, with her at the tapings that are happening next week. It's her versus Deanna, which I assume. I mean, you could say that could be a number 1 contenders match. for Victory Road, since that is before Bound for Glory. But I don't know. I feel like Victory Road isn't going to be many big matches. I feel like it's just going to be a cobbled together card because everything's going to be focusing on Bound for Glory, which is 2 weeks after. But yeah, I mean, Masha, I think, should continue her streak by beating Deanna and then definitely beating Jordan, I think. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I mean, I don't see why like Masha's streak would end next week. And I don't know, like my opinion of Jordan Grace, while it is high, I don't think I like hold her on the pedestal the rest of Impact does. Like Impact
Yeah.
seems like they gave her the title because she's like a trusty, good guy or good gal to give the belt and let them run and then maybe lose to the next big heel, which would be Masha. But like, for her to beat Mia Yim, that like means like, okay, like Impact gave Jordan Grace the belt because they liked having the belt on her when they need a face to run the women's side of it, they look like using Jordan Grace. Like, and that's her role. She's going to be doing this for the next few years, it seems like. So yeah, I think they'll wait to let Masha take it off her. Just, hopefully Bound for Glory then.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I'm not on the page of Jordan is like the top tier of the Impact Knockouts division, but Impact does give her a lot of title reigns. She's had at least two knockouts title reigns, as well as the knockouts tag title reign. Even though it was just a quick one, it still counts in the record books. And yeah, I think that not giving it to Mia made sense if the goal is to give the title to Masha sooner rather than later, because I think Mia is somebody who they are very high on and they wouldn't want to give a very short reign to. Losing in like a first or second challenge to Masha. So I think Masha versus Jordan, give Masha the belt. Masha can be the dominant heel for a bit. And then whoever ends her streak is automatically a bigger deal.
Might be Jordan for all we know.
Oh, yeah. It's also, I think, her versus Masha versus Deanna, whenever that ends up airing, since they're taping it next week, think is very interesting because Deanna can make the argument that she is the only person in Impact to beat Masha, since she did beat Masha before Masha got signed.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they even reference that.
Yeah. So yeah. After this, so Jordan challenges Chelsea and Deanna to a 2-on-1 match because she says she can beat both of them. Mia shows up and says that Jordan doesn't need to stand alone for this. That she respects Jordan as well, and that they would happily both beat Deanna and Chelsea, but they want it for the tag titles. And Chelsea and Deanna, after a little hesitation, accept the match for next week for the tag titles. And then Jordan and Mia shake hands as they were going to last week at Emergence. This would take us to our next match. It's Chris Bey versus Mike Bailey for the X Division title. Apparently, the reason that this happened is Chris Bey won an X Division title shot because he still hasn't gotten his rematch from over 2 years ago.
Good point.
And so Scott said that he could take an open challenge on Mike Bailey. So that's what he's doing. This is a really good match, as all Mike Bailey and Chris Bey matches.
Yeah, as you would expect from Chris Bey too. So.
Yeah. Again, some really cool spots in this one. Mike Bailey dominated early. He was just much faster and much more hard hitting. But Chris Bey ends up dodging a move from Mike Bailey. Mike Bailey goes on the outside. Chris Bey goes for a dive onto the outside, but he overshoots it, just clipping Mike Bailey. And it did look originally, commentary said, looked like he might have tweaked something, but it didn't seem to hamper him too much. But he does wince every so often. Bey ends up putting Mike Bailey onto the top rope, but not the turnbuckle. No. He lays him flat on the top rope, and then hits a double stomp onto Mike Bailey, which looked absolutely brutal. I would not want to take that move. But pretty impressive that you could balance yourself on your back like that.
Yeah, seriously.
Like there's so much like room for error on that move, and they played it off perfectly. Chris Bey starts to come alive. He's trying to finish this match off now. He gets Mike Bailey into he throws him into the corner. He puts him up onto the top turnbuckle. He carries Mike Bailey in the powerbomb position for a bit before hitting a powerbomb, which got a big reaction. And then he goes to try to finish this off. Mike Bailey counters. Chris Bey knocks Mike Bailey down. He thinks it's enough to hit the art of finesse, so he goes for it. But Mike Bailey had rebounded already, goes into a 619 and clips the legs of Chris Bey out from under him, which I thought was really cool. Definitely a unique way to cancel out the art of finesse. And then he would go up to the top rope. Chris Bey would try to knock him off of it, but Mike Bailey kicks him kind of in near the throat area, and would then hit Ultimo Weapon for the win. This was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a really good match. I guess nothing really negative about the match, but we haven't seen like really the benefits of Chris Bey joining Bullet Club in recent months. So, I guess like unfortunate to see him just like lose to Mike Bailey, on a normal TV episode. But, maybe it can mean bigger things for Chris Bey down the road, or maybe this leads to, the big money match with Ace Austin.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting how Chris Bey joined Bullet Club as the hand-picked individual by Ace Austin, or not Ace Austin, Jay White. He did the Super J Cup, but I think that was before he joined Bullet Club. It was just like a random thing on New Japan Strong for a bit. He's done some tag matches with them, but all in Impact. I think he did like one or two tag matches on New Japan Strong with El Phantasmo. And yeah, then Ace Austin did the Best of Super Juniors. At the end of Best of Super Juniors, he got picked by El Phantasmo to join Bullet Club. And he seemed to have all the success put on him, basically. Whereas Chris Bey has kind of fallen by the wayside.
Yeah, it's just when we started watching, Impact now. This is the second iteration of me watching Impact.
Yeah.
Like Chris Bey's light was really shining, and it seems to be dimming a little bit with Bullet Club. And that it could just be, the roster is stronger now than it was 2 years ago. But, we know his talents. We know Chris Bey is he can cut a good promo. He's an excellent in-ring performer. So whenever Impact's ready, they can unleash him. He can do whatever Impact wants.
Yeah, and I think it's also would be beneficial if he was able to make some more appearances in New Japan, either on New Japan Strong or in New Japan Regular, just so those fans can also appreciate him. Just because it would make him more than just like somebody who is on Impact and does a decent, is there, and most of the times when he's in singles matches or tag team matches ends up being the fall guy when their team loses.
Right.
Except when they're with Gallows, apparently, because Gallows has now lost a bunch.
Yeah, Gallows is the new fall guy for all of a sudden, but that's all right. Gallows could take a loss or two.
Yeah. After this, we get Brian Myers walking, we get our Impact flashback moment of the week, which is Ace Austin versus Christian Cage from Victory Road of last year.
Yeah, an interesting one because I'm not really anticipating Christian Cage coming back to Impact.
No, I'm not anticipating Ace Austin being in the title picture.
Also that, yeah. Well, he's not even in this
no.
main event. So
no.
I don't know.
And this main event isn't even for Victory Road. It's for Bound for Glory.
Right.
So I guess it's just to remind everybody that Ace Austin challenged Christian Cage once.
Yeah, remember that.
Yeah, remember when Matt Stryker and D'Lo Brown were our commentators?
I remember.
That. After this, we get Brian Myers walking down some stairs and Bhupinder confronting him. Brian Myers says, "Hey, I'm sure you're looking for a rematch, but you're kind of at the back of the line now that I beat you." Bhupinder shoves him against the wall. Brian Myers throws a punch, but Bhupinder catches it. He says, "Now you've made me angry. I will get you for this.
You don't like me when I'm angry." And then green, his shirt rips off.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Who frig knows out.
Yeah. And he says that this is far from over. So yeah, assuming this feud continues, I could see this going till Victory Road.
So just to reiterate, Bhupinder is no longer undefeated in singles competition.
Correct. He Brian Myers did beat him through some cheating. But he did beat him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. After this, we get our main event. It is our big 6-man elimination match. This is the first time since I think Slammiversary 2020 that we've had like a 6-man elimination match.
I like the way they do this one where like you're tagging in and out and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. It's not just a clusterfuck of everybody in the middle.
Right. It's not just nonsense where everyone like is just, injured outside the ring and waiting for their spot to come in.
Yeah. So we've got Sami Callihan, Eddie Edwards, Steve Macklin, Rich Swann, Moose, and Bandito. Everybody gets an entrance except Sami Callihan and Steve Macklin and Bandito. And part of Rich Swann's entrance is shown. Crowd is extremely hot for Bandito. From the get-go, they are all in on Bandito winning this match.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. He's not a regular, so.
No. We start off with Bandito and Rich Swann in the ring.
They shake hands, respectful.
Yeah, and then they go with basically matching each other spot for spot, getting out of moves, countering each other, going for leg drops or drop kicks at the same time, doing kip ups at the same time. Crowd goes wild for all this. Rich ends up throwing Rich ends up throwing Eddie Edwards out of the ring as Eddie Edwards tags himself in on Bandito, which Bandito is not happy about.
Understandable.
After Rich throws Eddie out of the ring, Steve Macklin just randomly comes in to try to spear Rich, but Rich throws him out as well. He goes up to the top rope, dives on both of them to take them out. Then Sami Callihan tags himself in so Sami and Eddie can fight off against each other, continuing their long blood feud for forever ago at this point. In an interesting way, considering I think this is the first time Sami is the babyface in this.
Right. And Eddie Edwards is the heel here. So
yeah,
good point. But great feuds do that. They they span babyface and heel turns.
Absolutely.
Like a la KO and
Sami Zayn
on the other end of the spectrum there, yeah.
Or The Rock and Steve Austin.
Yeah.
For sure. You've heard it here first, folks. Steve Austin and The Rock are on the same playing field as Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan.
I will not say anything further.
Some other big spots here. Sammy is actually the first one to be knocked out of this match, surprisingly. He's not in too long. Macklin ends up getting in, and Moose tags himself in on Macklin, which ends up allowing Moose to hit the lights out spear while Sammy is focused on Macklin, and both of them help each other to pin Sammy. So Sammy's taken out, and Macklin immediately rolls up Moose to pick up the next elimination. So Moose is eliminated pretty quickly. Crowd goes wild for that spot. Macklin and
they
Moose
start doing a stare down, but then Bandito gets in the way.
Yeah. Bandito comes in to break it up and start attacking Macklin. Sammy and Moose brawl for a bit. Sammy takes Moose out. Then Sammy gets back in, hits hits Macklin, and then rolls out. Then Rich Swann kicks Macklin as Macklin turned to go after Sammy. Bandito keeps attacking Macklin, throws Macklin against the ropes into Eddie's corner. Eddie kicks Macklin in the back, which distracts Macklin some more and allows Bandito to hit his finisher onto Macklin for another elimination. So 3 quick eliminations.
After powerful eliminations. They weren't just like a battle royale where it's side of your screen or something. These were good eliminations.
Yeah, and the crowd stayed hot for all of them. They all bought all of them. It wasn't oh man, this shouldn't have happened. Bandito's finisher, extremely protected in Ring of Honor. I think only one person ever kicked out of it, and it was Jonathan Gresham at Supercard of Honor. And then Macklin rolled up Moose because Moose had just hit the spear and was already on the ground and wasn't expecting it. And Sammy ate a finish. So, yeah, all of them made sense. After this would lead to Rich Swann versus Bandito again, going spot for spot, shot for shot on each other. There's a really cool Spanish fly in the middle of the ring. Bandito hits on Swann. We also get a wild pop-up cutter that Bandito hits on Swann, which gets a really close 3 count, or 2 count, I should say. Rich Swann would then make his comeback. He would get Bandito down. He'd hit his Phoenix Splash and look like he's going to pin Bandito for the next elimination. But Eddie Edwards had tagged in on Rich Swann's foot as Swann was going for the move. He throws Swann into the turnbuckles, hits the Boston Knee Party on Bandito, and pins him for the elimination. Crowd visibly upset, vocally upset that Bandito has been eliminated in this way. There's even chance for Bandito during the final stare down between Swann and Eddie. But then they go into their own match, basically, and crowd is super into this match as well. We start having dueling chants for Swann and Eddie. We have Eddie picking up the win, but not before he originally hits a kendo stick shot onto Swann while the ref is in the middle of them and couldn't see it, but he definitely could have heard it since he was right there.
It's pretty loud.
Yeah. Swann kicks out at 2. Eddie would then go for the Boston Knee Party, and Swann would kick out at 2. Crowd gets super into it. He hits another one and then hits the Die Hard Driver for the win. And Eddie Edwards celebrates with the rest of Honor No More, as Eddie Edwards is going to Bound for Glory as the number 1 contender for the world title.
Yeah, so this is a big moment. We were kind of waiting for Eddie Edwards to get his, chance now. Josh Alexander, is he the person to take the belt off of him? We don't know yet. It'll be hard to tell until Bound for Glory happens.
Yeah, if he does, I just think that Bound for Glory is just a cursed pay-per-view for Josh.
I guess it would be then.
Yeah, he lost. He won his title and then lost it to Moose right after. Now might lose to Eddie. Maybe he's had some other losses in the past at Bound for Glory. I don't know, but Yeah. Overall, I thought this was a fantastic show.
Yeah, this is a really solid show. I would say coming off the pay-per-view. So I'd give this a thumbs up.
Yeah, absolutely. A thumbs up from me as well. Next week, we have 4 matches announced. We've got Violent by Design versus Time Machine. We have Carl Anderson versus Mike Bennett in a singles match, which commentary claims is the first time ever in any company, which is kind of surprising, considering they were both in Ring of Honor together for a while and they feuded for so long, as they always talk about. We've got Vexed versus Jordan and Mia for the Knockouts tag titles, and we have Jessica's in-ring debut.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So we will be back next week for another episode of the Impact Power Hour. Stay safe. Stay watching wrestling.
Stay frosty.
Yeah.
Like Lady Frost.
Oh, yeah. When's she coming back?
I saw that she was working tonight an event that Trey Miguel was putting together.
Oh, okay.
Laredo, Ohio.
Oh, for Wrestle Revolver?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Because I think that's Sammy Callahan's promotion that he does. But like he always has like
he's got his own thing called Universal All Pro Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
That Trey, maybe I don't think he I don't know if he owns it, but I think he put the show together tonight. So
okay, because what's your call? Wrestle Revolver, like Sammy always has like the Impact people come in and like they host their own show at it. Because I know that I think it's this weekend or next weekend. Chris Bey has one at it. He's hosting it. Yeah.
They're getting their little, because I think like John Skyler's on the crowd on it.
Okay, cool.
Some other faces I recognize. I don't even need to name them all, but it's like faces I recognize that haven't been on Impact in a while, but like obviously are still like friends with the Impact crew.
Nice.
So
good stuff. So we'll be back next week. Follow our social medias for more, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.